So, every year, a player flips the switch in the NBA playoffs. And to me, it looks like Kawhi Leonard is already flipping it. We've all seen it before, that version of Kawhi Leonard who becomes a completely different beast when the games actually matter. You could call him the silent assassin, cause he doesn't talk, he doesn't celebrate, he just picks you apart possession by possession. And after analyzing his recent stretch of games and watching him over the season, it's starting to look like we're about to witness that exact version of Kawhi again. But what exactly makes me so sure? Well, since All-Star break, Kawhi has quietly pieced together a stretch of dominance that's flying under the radar. In his last 10 games, he's averaged 25 points, 7 rebounds and 3 assists, while shooting an elite 54% from the field and nearly 46% from 3. But here's the thing, the box score doesn't even tell the full story, because when you actually watch the film, especially against playoff level competition, this is where you really start to see it. The calculated footwork, the mid-range precision, and how he can just pick apart a defense in the most simplistic way possible. When you start to peel back the layers, it's only right that we start off with his mid-range scoring, as this right here is what jumpstarts his entire game. On nearly 4 attempts from the in-between range per game, Kawhi is draining these at a 48% rate and has many ways to get to his spots. The first thing you should pay attention to is the way Kawhi used the screen navigation to get to his desired area. With Bane picking up high to take away the effectiveness off this screen, Leonard decides to set up Bane with a hazy behind the back to shake him out of place briefly, and I want you all to look at the screen placement now. Bane no longer has no choice but to fight around Zoo at this point, so with him going under and meeting Kawhi on the attack, Leonard once more used the screen to go back left, and right here is the sweet spot. With Bane now trailing the play, this allows Kawhi to snake into the lane, and with the hand not right up when Kawhi reaches his apex, this one becomes easy. Versus OKC, Lu Dort is one of the best screen navigators in the game, so he slides around this screen with ease, but just like we seen in that last example, keeping the defender on your back now puts the game in your hands, as the trailing defender wants to get in front, so once they choose a shot to recover from, this is when Kawhi can shift the ball back to his left side, and with a simple step back to create that small amount of separation, Dort really can't affect the shot at this point. When watching Kawhi, you'll notice that he's not married to the play design, he's more so committed to the outcome. So when Shai beats him to the spot off the screen, it's not like the play is completely over, as now this entire right side of the floor is open to attack more freely, so as Shai jumps out to close the distance, Kawhi starts his attack going downhill towards the right, sees the big and drop coverage, and pulls up with confidence over a great contest. Using these screens to get to his spots may not be the most exciting thing for most people, but you have to look at all these things that go into these decisions. If Kawhi was to go off the screen going left, he would most likely be attacking the middle of the floor. At this point, Garland and Strus could close in on him to make him give up the ball or cause a difficult shot, so instead of that, Kawhi understands if he goes right, he only has one man to beat, and that's Evan Mobley. As we roll the film, you're going to see Kawhi push towards the basket, and with Mobley staying with him and cutting off the attack, Leonard just opts into a spin back away from the basket, and this one right here is straight cash. That ability to navigate in a quick manner makes it very hard for the defense to take shots away from Kawhi, but let's just say Kawhi wants to shake him up a little more than that. So when a defender is on an island with Leonard, it's not like they have to worry about a Kyrie Irving-like handle, but with him knowing they want to take away certain looks in the mid-range, here's where a snatchback can totally send you out of his way. Kawhi can then regain control of the ball on the attack, and just when you think you've recovered and are right there to contest an inside attempt, here's where you use that turnaround to just bake you. For someone his size and wingspan, he's able to keep the ball tight and sharp on these moves, which makes the defenders have to stay on their toes, and if he happens to be matched up with a much smaller defender, the stop and pop over the top becomes a great go-to option. Versus Milwaukee, you'll see it again here, as when Lillard fights around the screen, Kawhi uses that double cross between the legs shake and bake, and with Brook Lopez just guarding the air, Leonard can pull up for a warm-up jumper. I understand that many people don't think of Kawhi when it comes to ball handling, but when you see him start getting jiggy with the ball, you have no choice but to appreciate it. I understand that we look for nasty crossovers that make you stand up, but to keep it simple, all you need is a step on the defender like we see here versus Dalton Knecht, so now when Kawhi starts pushing inside, he has the leverage to use that step back for separation, and bada bing, it's money team. Once he's shown you that handle to methodically get to his spots, here's where he starts using that strength to show you something different, and I want you all to look at the amount of space he generated on this bump step back. Yeah, it's quite a lot, and when we're talking about the playoffs, these are the exact type of looks you want. It's not that you want to go to the bump every time, but this is a move here that doesn't use much energy as it's a simple bump for separation, and now you're presented with an open look to knock the shot down. This strength of his will flow right into his post-ups, where he can all-out manhandle defenders, just making them look like kids trying to guard him at a summer camp. On this play here, look at where Wallace is at the start. Now as we roll the film, you're going to see Kawhi use that strength to just move Wallace inside the restricted area, and at this point, the float over the top could just be done in his sleep. This post work of Kawhi is one of the hardest things to guard as he takes control of the action, making the defender look helpless. And if you ask me, there's truly no blocking that fade once it's in motion. It doesn't matter if it's a guy his size or not, Kawhi will treat them like a cone drill when he's operating out the post. And when he knows the double is coming, he can stay patient, use that shimmy to make Hart shift over to the side, and since Cat isn't right there in his face when he decides to pull up, this is an invitation for Leonard to fade back for 2 points. With this area being his go-to, Kawhi can effectively torch the defense in many ways, and he does so without wasting a lot of energy. In the playoffs, you want to be able to get to your spots in the easiest way possible, and well, for Leonard, he's mastered this aspect of his game. Not only will he take you to work in the mid-range like you're a kid on take your child to work day, as Leonard can also put the ball on the deck to get downhill if needed, and if it's not that, then with confidence, he'll rise up from deep to show you that you need to step up. When highlighting his driving game, on 9.6 drops per game, Kawhi is converting at a 46% rate on 5 attempts per game, and I get it, this isn't a stat that you would break your neck for or anything, but for when Kawhi isn't dominating in that mid-range area, here's where you can use that handle to mix up Lillard with his behind the back, and then with Giannis on his trail and Lopez closing in from the help side, Leonard uses this up and under to use the rim for protection and spins this off the glass for the bucket.
Reverse layup, it's good, what a play!
Since me, you, and everybody knows Kawhi has a history of having a bad knee, it's not like he can explode to the rim at all times to beat the defender for a bucket, but with him having the ability to score from anywhere he wants, defenders will make it a focal point to get out to him to take away any shot. So here's where Kawhi can use that to his advantage to get to the paint, and if that mid-range jumper isn't available, he can use that float over the top instead. It truly sucks that knee injuries took away that explosiveness from Kawhi, but there are certain times where we can still see flashes of it when he attacks the basket. When it comes to being effective in the playoffs, Kawhi will still be able to attack the paint without needing much speed because it doesn't matter who stands in front of him. He can still use that muzzle of his to move defenders off of him for the bucket. And hey, if bigs do try to step up due to that mid-range threat and leave the rim unprotected, well, Kawhi can pursue the rim while extending out, and the layup off the glass is smooth. If you're asking me, I don't necessarily think the driving game will be the next option after the mid-range for Kawhi in the postseason, as defenses will be more physical and will scheme to make him drop the ball so they can collapse on him in the paint, so that's when he can either use the vision instead to spot an open man on the backside for a great look, or instead of pushing to the rack altogether, Kawhi will just rise up over the top to bury it home. So far this season, Leonard is connecting on 40% of his 5 3-point attempts per game, and it doesn't matter if it's off the catch or if he's pulling up right over the top of his defender. A key thing that will help this team if they are to face a defense like OKC is his ability to be a solid spot-up option. As I just got done scouting the Thunder's defense, they love to throw speed at the opposing team to cut off drive attempts, but their weakness is leaving open guys on the outside. So as you can see here, Kawhi is more than open as Caruso is cutting off any action on this hardened pick and roll, so now Leonard can just lock, load, and fire. Furthermore, if they face teams who have players who tend to fall asleep at times on the defensive end, Kawhi will take advantage of that 9 times out of 10, and best believe, if your hand's down, it'll definitely be man down. As we're just a couple of weeks away from the postseason, this is the perfect time for Kawhi to get activated and get his game rolling, and I want you all to tell me how you feel about Kawhi and this Clippers team. Do you believe they will be able to make a run, and do you think Kawhi will show up in a big way? This Western Conference is extremely competitive, and it won't be easy, so we should be in store for an exciting time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're first to know when I upload. If you want to further support this channel, consider signing up for my Patreon, which is linked below in the description. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.